Hey everyone, well today is effectively the last video I will ever be doing in this boat. So this morning it's going off to its new owner. So yeah, a lot of you will be wondering, why I'm selling, and I'll hit that one first, and then I will touch on a little bit of a controversial topic about all these boats, just for a little bit of fun. Okay, so basically why I'm selling is, you might have heard me talk before, I've got serious problems with my sternum, I've got two bad hips, I've got a bad spine. I pretty much no longer am okay with having a good riding boat, being out on the water. I need an exceptional riding boat, an extremely soft riding boat. I'm having major problems breathing, all sorts of stuff still. That's why you hear me coughing and stuff a lot on the camera. So I basically need something heavy, deep V that just pushes through the water and pushes it away and doesn't kind of bounce over the waves, I guess, like these plate alloy boats do. Don't get me wrong, obviously they do a very good job for what they are. The other thing is, one of the other things is the driving position of this boat and the height of this superstructure area. So I'm not very tall, and the fact is we pretty much have to solely stand up to drive this boat, to see over the dashboard, etc. And I just get too fatigued with all my problems. I genuinely need a boat that when I'm tired I can sit down and drive for long days trolling offshore, etc. So this is all just too high for me. Like, I love it, the ergonomics are great, but it's just too high. Sandra, my wife's really short, most of my mates are short. So this boat and many other plate boats out there, everything's really high in here, and I get why they do it. They do it for the cabin height. Entry and exit to the cabin is awesome, makes that a very usable space. Also, the rocket launchers here are insanely high. I can't get them unless I'm stepping off basically the esky seat boxes. So there's a few things, basically. Nothing wrong with the boat. You won't see me going and bagging out Barcrushers or anything, because it has been an amazing boat. I've had Barcrushers basically since 2018. Just time for a change, basically. And but look, I'll keep you guys fully informed of what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I'm pricing up, and just be totally transparent. And whatever boat I do end up buying, I'll also tell you guys how that goes as well. So yeah, anyway, so if you haven't read between the lines there, I'm most probably going to be going back into a fiberglass boat. Okay, something in between the 6 and 7 meter size range, nice heavy hull weight, 21-degree dead rise type thing. But holy crap, have these boats gone up in price? It is shocking. So yeah, I'm a bit sort of shocked about the actual price of them. Anyway, let's have a little bit of fun. Now I'm going to poke some fun at Barcrusher, Stabicraft, Yellowfin, Surtees, Mclay, and talk about the pros and cons of the boats just one last time. And so I warn you, if you're overly sensitive about your boat brand, etc., please turn off the camera now. I'm going to tell you about what each of the owners don't want you to know, or don't want to hear, I should say. Alright, starting with Barcrusher. Barcrusher owners do not want to know that Surtees boats handle better. They are softer, they are quieter. And to be perfectly honest, it does come down to that 6mm hull. I wouldn't have thought it could make a difference, or much of a difference myself, but it's the additional thickness, it's the additional weight, and it's where the weight is, in the very bottom of the boat. Okay, so I think that's the bottom line of what Barcrusher owners don't want to hear, that their cousin, their estranged cousin, is a better handling boat. Like, you just can't even question it. Okay, that doesn't come without a cost though, and that is not the whole story. On the plus side, I mean, so many positives obviously about the Barcrusher: value for money, great boats, ergonomically, design, innovation, or borderline market leading. The other thing is that, look, it's the noise factor of these boats. So because of that lack of the 6mm hull, they are noisy. End of story. Barcrushers are noisy on the water. There's a lot of noise coming through the hull. Doesn't mean it's riding rough, you know, at all. So sometimes in the camera when I'm filming this boat, even I re-watch it and it goes, oh, that sounded like a bang or a rough hit. Excuse me, it's not. It just sounds that way. All right, on to Surtees. Stay with me. Surtees owners don't want to hear that Barcrushers are effectively better built, nicer welding, nicer job at pretty much everything. Barcrushers are the company that, while they may have copied Surtees or whatever, they are the company that has innovated since that split happened. Surtees has been playing catch up to Barcrusher in pretty much every single way during that time, okay? Barcrusher makes a new dash layout. Surtees takes a couple of years to copy it. Barcrusher updates their hard top and bait boards, etc. Surtees then comes up to speed later on. So you can sit here and bag out Barcrusher all you want for copying Surtees or splitting or whatever they did, but the bottom line is Barcrusher has been good for Surtees and good for Surtees owners by constantly pushing them to take their boats to the next level. Surtees owners don't also want to hear, like I said, the welding in Surtees boats I have not been impressed about, to be perfectly honest. Like, it's strong, but it's pretty damn ugly, okay? So Surtees boats are also, to me, overpriced. They're straight up overpriced. They're awesome, I love them, but they are just too expensive for what you get. But plus side, I think they are basically, and this is a big call, they're basically the softest, fastest offshore top plate boat you can possibly buy. Second to none. So they handle that good. They handle that well. Even though they look exactly the same as a Barcrusher, they're not. So anyway, that's kind of my wrap up on Surtees. So okay, on to Stabicraft. All right, Stabicraft owners don't want to hear that Barcrusher and Surtees actually outperform them, okay, in a head sea and running fast to and from offshore. You can forget all the fake videos and channels on the internet that are paid and sponsored or whatever. I don't talk about it often because I don't want to upset people, but people in 2050, 2150 Stabicrafts are constantly trying to run head to head with me, then end up tucking in behind me. Bateman's Bay, Jervis Bay, you might be watching, you might know who you are, numerous times. So while the Stabies, they've got their plus sides, but the bottom line is they're not a massively fast offshore boat, and it's because the chambers on the sides, you know, they hit the water, right? They don't just cut down through like an absolute V that the Barcrusher and the Surtees has got. The other thing I pretty much can't handle on the Stabie is the lack of toes under on the side. I'm always using the sides of this boat, the toes under here, and bracing up against the side for jigging and stuff like that. I pretty much couldn't live without it. I can't stand the pontoons encroaching in on the Stabicrafts. It's a deal breaker for me, to be perfectly honest. It's an absolute deal breaker. On the plus side, safety, second to none of the Stabicraft. Ergonomics, innovation, amazing dashes, seats, bait boards, live bait tanks, of course. Quality, outstanding. Overall ride, very, very good, because you've got those buoyancy chambers, you've got great directional stability, nowhere near as sensitive to weight distribution and wind, etc., like the Surtees and the Barcrusher, which is also a big downfall of theirs. You're constantly underway adjusting trim tabs and things like that, where the Stabie just sits solid, and that's what its name is all about. So Stabie is not the top of my list. I see why people like them. They're not for me. I think they're also massively overpriced, to be honest. As soon as you go above a 2150, you go to a 2400. It's a very narrow boat, it's a very long boat, and it's super expensive. But look, I understand why people buy them. They're just not for me. Okay, on we go. Mclay owners don't want to hear that their boats, while they're made in New Zealand, they're extremely basic. Like, let's face it, they're cheap, they handle okay, they're not terrible, they're not awesome, they're right in the middle. They definitely don't handle as well as a Barcrusher, a Surtees, a Stabie. even a Yellowfin, to be perfectly honest. And they're just cheap, and they look cheap, and everything about them feels a bit cheap, but they will certainly get you on the water and probably last you forever. I don't love them, they're not my thing. I can understand why people buy them though. On the plus side though, I think the value for money is exceptional. You get a lot of boat for your money. They are well made. Like I said, they do handle reasonably well. Obviously way better than any sort of pressed alloy tinny and stuff like that, but they just don't have enough dead rise to really be a seriously soft offshore riding boat. So anyway, all right, Yellowfin owners don't want to hear that the boats kind of look dated. The boats look dated when they came out. The Southerner is the only boat worth buying, in my opinion, out of the entire Yellowfin range. Dash layout, etc. is poor. It's very, very basic, okay? Like, for example, Yellowfins don't even have a lip on the edge of the dash here to stop all your crap falling back onto you. So it's all these little things with the Yellowfin that, while it looks like a big, cheap, capable boat, when you actually compare it to the top brands, they're pretty much not even close. They're a mass-produced boat. They will not hold their value at all, like a Crusher, a Surtees, or a Stabicraft. I can absolutely guarantee you that. I can see that happening right now. But having said that, on the plus side, they do handle surprisingly well. Okay, they've only got a 19-degree dead rise, no ballast tank, but they've got a lot of weight in the hulls. So they do punch above their weight. They punch above their price tag, and I regularly run next to Yellowfins just to see how they're handling in comparison to this boat, and it's very, very similar. Like a 7000 Southerner rides very similar to this boat. So anyway, look, in this market, to be perfectly honest, the Yellowfin is becoming a much better buy because they haven't seemed to have risen prices as much as all the other brands. But yeah, you know, they're definitely a bit of a letdown if you're comparing to the absolute best, but if you got one home and you were happy with the price of it, you'd probably be pretty happy with it, to be honest. Okay, what haven't I done? Done Surtees, Staby, Mclay, Yellowfin, Barcrusher. That about covers it. Look, the only thing I would say, guys, is, to be perfectly honest, if you buy any of the brands that I've just mentioned, I reckon you'd be a pretty happy camper. So while I sit here and I critique all these little details, they're all good boats, and I actually like all of them. And to be perfectly honest, I'd probably be pretty happy to own any of them. Okay, like, sorry, I missed one. I missed Extreme. All right, Extreme boat owners don't want to hear that they have basically bought a boat more for looks than all-out performance, value for money, etc. The Extreme boats have got sort of small ballast tanks, bit of a gimmick in my opinion on them. They're very, very pricey, and they have tiny cabin bunk lengths even for their size. So you know, if you're buying a 7.5 meter boat with a fully enclosed wheelhouse and this little table and all this cool stuff, you don't want a 1.6 meter bunk. So there are just a few things on the Extremes that are a little bit funny. I think most people are buying them because they look so sleek. They've also got a pretty good reverse chine on them, which is a good thing, but obviously that will impact softness going through the water, whereas the Surtees and the Barcrusher, in my opinion, are softer and faster because they are just simply a V. Nothing more than a V. A V cuts best. But that's kind of my thought on the Extremes. You wouldn't see me buying an Extreme, to be honest, because they'd never be at the top of my list. And they're very pricey for what you get. But I can see why people buy them and why people like them. I've got nothing against them out there. Obviously, you know, right up there at the top, they're just sort of not my favourite boat, but that's okay. All right, in summarising, what I wanted to say is, if you're buying any of those boats, including the Extreme, you'd probably love it, to be honest. It all comes down to what deal you can get. The only thing I would say is, don't be a turkey, or let one of your mates be a turkey that buys some rubbish no-name brand, okay, from overseas that is crap, or even a locally built brand that is crap. Because there's a lot out there. There's a lot of custom plate boats out there at the moment claiming to be the best of the best that have 16 or 17 degree dead rises, okay? That is like a spoon trying to cut through butter versus a knife trying to cut through butter. Don't buy one of those pieces of crap. That's all I can say. I don't care what you buy, but don't buy one of those. You'll highly regret it. There is a lot of junk out in the market. The other thing that's going on at the moment is every second week there's a new boat brand starting up in New Zealand, okay? And they're almost like a Stabicraft copy. They look almost the same. They look beautiful, quality, prices are high. Be careful of them. Look at the specs. 16, 17 degree dead rises. I don't care whether you've got a 6mm, a 7mm or an 8mm hull bottom. It doesn't matter when the bottom of your boat's almost bloody flat. So just be clever about these things. These design principles are irrelevant of who builds the boat, how good the marketing is, whether the boat's made of alloy or fiberglass. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting and nobody gets too upset because I'm just having a bit of a laugh here. But the funny thing is in this boat is that I regularly run next to other boats and I'm not racing them, I'm actually observing them, okay? I watch closely how they're cutting through the water, like all the ones I just mentioned, how much spray they're throwing up, how comfortable the occupants are, is everyone getting bounced around? So yeah, if I've come up next to you a few times and you're wondering what I'm doing, that's all that I'm doing. So I always like to just check these things out. Anyway, the Barcrusher goes off to a new home today. I certainly hope the new owner will be very happy with it. It's in really, really good condition and this thing will last a long time, and we'll let you guys know how the hunt goes, to be honest, as I always do, and that should be interesting. And yeah, chat to you guys soon.